The stars outside the ship's window were quiet. They blinked softly in the darkness, cold and far away. Commander Calthera stood alone on the command deck of the Valkyrian, her tall form still as stone. She stared down at the blue planet, below. Earth. A place full of noise, fire, war, and something else. Her dark eyes narrowed as the message repeated again in her mind. It was short, final, and without feeling. Earth is no longer to be protected. Withdraw. Let it fall. The message had come straight from the Council, the ruling force of the Galactic Empire. They had made their decision. Humanity, once studied and monitored, was now labeled a threat. They were too unpredictable, too dangerous, too human. Behind her, the crew waited in silence. No one dared speak. They all heard the same order. They all saw the same planet. Kyle didn't speak. She couldn't. Not yet. Something deep in her chest felt heavy. Something told her that this moment would change everything. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Vor, stepped forward carefully. "Commander," he said, voice low and respectful. "The orders are clear. We must leave orbit and return to the nearest station. Earth's fate is no longer our concern." Kyle didn't look at him. Her voice was cold and quiet. "How many are down there right now?" Vor hesitated. "Nearly 9 billion. Most are unaware of the Empire's decision. Their systems are still fighting. Small wars between nations. They have no idea what is coming." Kale's eyes closed for a moment. She remembered a face, a small girl with bright eyes who had handed her a broken flower on a mission years ago. She remembered laughter, music, fear, strength. Humans had so many faults, but they had heart. "We could stop it," she said softly. "Commander?" Vor's voice shook. Kale turned slowly. Her gaze was sharp now, burning with something more than duty. "We have the firepower. We could stop what's coming." The Council is wrong," Kale snapped. Silence dropped over the deck like a hammer. No one moved. No one breathed. "You're speaking treason," Vor whispered. "I'm speaking truth," Kale replied. The ship's lights dimmed slightly. A red signal flashed near the command chair. A secure line was coming through, from the Empire itself. Kyle walked over and touched the panel. A figure appeared, tall, cold, wearing the robes of a high speaker. "Commander Calthera," the voice spoke. "You have failed to withdraw. This is your final warning. Your loyalty is under question. Leave Earth. Let it burn. Do not interfere again." The image vanished. Kyle stood still for a long time. Then she turned toward her crew. "I'm not leaving," she said. Shock spread through the room. Vor looked pale. "You'll be hunted. Then let them come. Earth can't save you. They don't even trust us. They don't need to trust me. They need a chance to survive." Someone at the back whispered, "Are we going to war with the Empire?" Kyle looked at each of them, her crew, those who had followed her across stars. Some looked afraid, some confused. A few nodded. "I won't force you," she said. "If you wish to leave, I won't stop you. But I will not abandon this planet." One by one, the crew stepped forward. Vor was the last. He looked torn, but finally, he sighed and nodded. "We stand with you." Kyle nodded once. "Then prepare for battle." Far below, on Earth, life went on. People argued, laughed, cried, and lived their lives unaware of the shadow above them. In the skies, a silent war was already starting. Kyle opened a hidden channel, one the Council did not know about. She spoke into the silence. "This is Commander Calthera of the Valkyrian. Earth is not alone. We are staying." Static filled the line. Then a voice answered. "Who are you?" Kale smiled faintly. "A friend." Hours passed. The crew worked without sleep. Defensive systems came online. Stealth fields were activated. No one knew when the Council would strike, But they would. A transmission from deep space arrived. Enemy ships were already on the move. Kyle watched the display quietly. "How many?" she asked. "3 hunter fleets," Vor said. "Fully armed. Faster than us. They will expect us to run. But we won't. No. We won't." On Earth, military satellites picked up movement. Governments scrambled, trying to understand what was happening. Was it another attack? Another accident? Or something new? One signal broke through the noise. A beacon from Kale's ship. Not a warning. Not a threat. A message. "Earth is not your enemy. You have been judged unfairly. We will help you. But war is coming." The message spread across human networks like fire. Some called it a lie. Others called it hope. General Mason, an old war veteran, sat in a dark room, watching the stars. He had fought aliens before. He had seen death fall from the sky. But this message felt different. He leaned forward. "Who are you?" he whispered. Above, the Valkyrian floated like a silent sword. In deep space, the Council's hunter ships raced forward. No mercy, no questions, just orders. Kyle stood at her command post, arms behind her back. "Bring shields to full. Charge weapons. Lock Earth's orbit." "They're still hours away," Vor said. Kale nodded. "Let them come." The moment slowed. The crew stood together, not just as soldiers, but as something more. A line had been drawn. A choice had been made. Kale stared into the dark beyond the stars. Her eyes were calm. "You told me to run," she whispered. "But I have seen what humanity can become, and I will not run from that." The first ripple of energy flashed on the edge of the long-range scanners. The enemy was close now, Kale whispered, to herself. "This is how it begins." Clouds passed quietly over Earth's skies, unaware of the danger slowly drawing near. While the world below carried on with its usual noise and chaos, something silent and powerful moved above them. Hidden, just beyond their reach, in the black space near Earth, the Valkyrian floated like a silent watcher. Commander Kale stood alone in her chamber, looking down at the blue planet. She didn't blink. Her thoughts were sharp and steady, but her heart beat faster with each passing minute. The decision she had made could not be undone. She had gone against everything the Empire stood for. She had chosen Earth. The stars were changing. Something unseen was drawing close. Far beyond the edge of the system, ships were coming, fast, cold, and without emotion. They carried orders, not thoughts, rules, not feelings. Kale could feel it. The Council would not speak again. They had sent a message once. The next time would not be words, it would be action. Their response was coming, and she had no doubt what it meant. Her crew worked in silence. They had accepted her choice, but that did not make the weight any lighter. The crew had families, duties, lives in the Empire. Now they were something else. Outsiders. Protectors. Maybe even enemies. Lieutenant Vor stepped into the room. He looked tired, but his eyes stayed steady. "They're closer now. 1 day away, maybe less." Kale nodded. "Earth doesn't even know how close they are to losing everything. They've begun to listen. Your message changed something. Governments are starting to pay attention. Some are scared, some are curious, but none of them truly understand." Hale stepped away from the window. Her boots made a soft sound on the metal floor. She reached for a small device, a crystal stored in a protective case. She tapped it once. A blue light filled the air, forming the shape of a human child. It was an old recording, a moment from long ago. The child was laughing. Kyle stared at the image. "This one gave me a flower. I was just an observer back then. But this child, she didn't care what I looked like or where I was from. She just wanted to share something beautiful." The image faded. Kale whispered, "That's when I knew. There was something worth protecting here." Vor was quiet. "The Council doesn't understand what makes humanity different," Kale continued. They measure strength by control, but humans don't follow that rule. They survive by connection, by emotion. It scares the council. Maybe they're right to be scared, Vor said softly. Kyle looked at him. I'm not. The ship's console beeped. New signal. A crew member reported from the deck. It's human, a message. Kale moved quickly to the deck. Put it through. A shaky voice came through the speakers. It was a young woman, clearly nervous. This is Dr. Lena Miles speaking from Earth. I got your message. If you can hear this, thank you. Some of us believe you. We want to help. We don't have much, but we're ready to listen. Please respond. Kyle smiled faintly. A small step, but an important one. She leaned closer to the mic. Dr. Miles, this is Commander Kyle. You are not alone, but time is short. Something is coming and your world must prepare. We'll guide you, but trust will be everything. There was a pause, then Lena's voice again. Understood. I'll speak to the others. As the channel closed, Vor spoke. That's one. Do you think more will listen? They will, but first they need proof. Kyle turned to her crew. We're going down. Commander, they need to see us, face to face, no more shadows. Won't that draw attention from the Empire's hunters? Yes, but it might also save Earth. A small craft was prepared, fast, hidden, and silent. Kyle entered the pod, taking only Vor and 2 trusted officers. As they descended toward Earth, the stars seemed to hold their breath. Below, in a quiet science facility on the edge of a city, Dr. Lena Miles waited by a landing pad no one used anymore. She watched the sky, heart racing. She had taken a great risk by answering the alien message. Others thought she was chasing shadows, but she knew. Something had changed. And then, the stars blinked. A soft glow filled the clouds and a sleek vessel passed silently above her, slowing, then landing without a sound. Lena stepped back, eyes wide. The door opened. Kale stepped out first, her figure tall and calm. Her gaze locked with Lena's. You're real, Lena whispered. So are you, Kale replied with a gentle smile. Behind Lena, more people gathered, scientists, soldiers, and a few leaders. No one spoke at first, they simply stared. Kale stepped forward, slow and steady. We don't come with orders. We come with warning. You must choose now. Trust us, or be caught unprepared. The silence stretched. Then Lena nodded. I believe you. And in that quiet moment, Earth began to change. Above them, in deep space, the Empire's ships crept closer. The countdown had already begun. The morning sky above Earth was still quiet, but tension had begun to grow like a silent storm. In secret, buildings behind locked doors, people whispered about a visitor from the stars. A strange ship had landed during the night, and a few lucky ones had seen it. They had seen her, the alien who wasn't like the others. Commander Kale, Dr. Lena. Miles stood in the middle of a large underground chamber, built long ago as a shelter for things that never happened. Now it had become something else, a meeting place. Around her, government agents, scientists, and even military leaders waited with careful eyes. Some didn't trust her. Some didn't trust anyone. But they had all come because of one reason. They wanted to see Kale again. The doors slid open. Kale stepped in slowly, followed by Vor and 2 of her crew. Her face calm, her steps steady. But every move was watched, every breath measured. One of the men stepped forward, a high official with sharp features and a quiet voice. You landed without permission. You've caused confusion. Some would call that a problem. Kyle didn't look away. Your world is in danger. I didn't come for permission. I came to help. The room fell silent. Lena spoke gently. Please, let her speak. The official looked around, then gave a small nod. You have 5 minutes. Kyle stepped forward and began. The Empire is large, cold. It sees your world not as a place full of life, but as a puzzle to be solved. I used to believe what they taught me, that control was peace, that silence was order. But then I met your people. She paused, remembering the child who had given her the flower. That moment, so small and warm, had changed everything. Humans have something the Empire fears: freedom of thought, emotion, the will to choose even when the odds are low. That's why they're watching. That's why they're coming. A murmur moved through the room. The weight of her words settled on everyone. What do they want from us? Someone asked. They don't want anything, Kale said softly. They want you to stop being different, to fit into a shape they understand. An older scientist stood up. And if we don't? Kyle looked at him, her voice calm. Then they'll try to make you. The silence returned. Lena stepped forward. But you left them. You chose us. Why? Kale's answer came without delay. Because I saw something in humans that the Empire forgot. Hope. Connection. Even now, when many don't trust me, you still listen. That matters. One of the younger officers in the back stood up. So what do we do now? Kale walked to the center of the room and activated a small device. A light formed in the air showing a map of nearby space. Strange signals blinked red. They were moving closer every hour. This is the path of a scout fleet. Small, but not weak. They will not attack first. They will watch, study. They will look for weakness. Someone whispered, "We're not ready." Kale turned to the group. That's why I'm here. You don't need to fight. Not now. But you need to prepare. You need to learn what's out there. Lena looked around the room. Then we build something together. We start now. Kyle nodded. I've brought data, designs, technology your people have never seen. If you're ready, we'll begin. The official who had first spoken stepped forward again. His voice was softer this time. We will listen, but we'll do it our way. That's all I ask, Kyle replied. Outside, beyond the clouds, stars blinked slowly. Somewhere out there, the Empire's eyes were watching. But on Earth, something new had begun. Not war, not fear. A quiet cooperation, a strange trust. Kale returned to her ship that night, tired but hopeful. Vor walked beside her, silent. They don't fully trust us, he said. They don't need to, Kale answered. They just need to believe. He looked up at the stars. Do you think the Empire knows yet? Kale stopped walking. They will soon. And when they do, everything will change. The ship doors closed behind them. Engines hummed quietly. And deep in the black of space, signals moved in patterns too clean to be natural. The watchers were not far now. The room was quiet, but not because it was empty. Dozens of minds worked silently behind glowing screens, eyes fixed on numbers and symbols only a few could fully understand. Deep beneath Earth's surface, in a hidden command center newly created for this moment, humanity was learning. Every corner of the room buzzed with nervous energy. Dr. Lena Miles stood at the edge of a massive digital display. On it, a slowly moving cluster of lights crept across space, each light a ship. Not from Earth, not yet close, but close enough to make people stop sleeping through the night. Kyle watched too, her expression calm but focused. She had seen this before, how the Empire always started with watching. Observation. It was the quiet before decisions were made. And the Empire never made decisions in a rush. They made them with purpose. What are they waiting for? A young analyst asked, his voice unsure. They want to see how you respond, Kale replied. If you panic, if you prepare, or if you pretend they're not there. All these choices tell them who you are. Lena turned toward Kale. So what? Do we do that they won't expect? Kyle smiled faintly. You stay human. And so, work began. Across Earth, scientists, engineers, diplomats, and even artists came together in ways no one thought possible. Humanity began to dream bigger. They studied the knowledge Kale had brought, blueprints for technology that felt like fiction. Faster travel, stronger shields, energy systems that could power entire cities with a whisper of heat. No one slept much. In hidden hangars, human workers stared at alien devices, trying to understand. They didn't copy, they adapted. Some ideas, they improved. Others, they questioned. And slowly, quietly, a new kind of progress began. Not rushed, not forced, but steady. Meanwhile, Kale met with leaders from across the globe. Some trusted her, others didn't. But even the most careful minds knew this wasn't a moment for pride. The skies above Earth were no longer empty. Late one night, Kale sat outside, a quiet observation dome on a snowy mountain. Lena joined her with 2 cups of something warm. "You don't sleep much," Lena said, handing Kale the drink. "I don't need to," Kale replied, accepting the cup. "Not the way you do." They looked up at the stars. They seemed peaceful. But Kale's eyes didn't see peace. She saw signals, shadows, hidden shapes moving in the dark. "They're sending scouts to your moon next," Kale said softly. "To listen." "Can we stop them?" Lena asked. "You don't need to stop them," Kale said. "You need to let them hear something unexpected." Lena raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" Kale turned toward her. "Like music, like laughter, like the sound of a world that doesn't fear them." Lena laughed gently. "You're serious." "I am," Kale said. "The Empire doesn't understand joy, they don't understand connection. That's what makes your people strong. If they hear that, they may start to wonder." So the message was prepared, not a warning, not a challenge. It was a recording of people, laughing, talking, building, teaching. A child's voice reading a story, a scientist explaining a new idea, a song sung by 1,000 voices in 12 languages, and when the scout ships drifted near the moon, they heard it. For hours, Earth said nothing more. Then a signal came back. Not a threat, not a greeting, just a small, curious question. "Why do your people sing when they should be afraid?" Back in the dome, Kyle smiled. "They're listening now." And far above Earth, unseen in the quiet dark, someone else began to wonder. The stars looked the same, but everything had changed. For the first time, the Empire's scouts didn't just observe, they responded. A message sent across great distances had returned with something Earth didn't expect. Not silence, not warnings, but a single question. And that changed everything. Inside the Earth's new command center, the message was played again and again. "Why do your people sing when they should be afraid?" The question echoed in every meeting room, across every discussion. It wasn't just about singing, it was about spirit. Kyle stood beside Lena as teams reviewed the data. No weapons had been activated, no fleets moved closer. The Empire was watching, still distant, still quiet, but curious. And that was something new. "They don't understand us," Lena said softly. "That could be a good thing, or a problem." Kyle nodded. "If they fear what they can't understand, they'll act, but if they wonder, they might wait." Earth didn't wait. Across cities, signals were prepared. Stories of Earth's people, their struggles, their art, their kindness, and even their mistakes. Not lies, not perfect images, but real truth. Broadcasts sent not only through space, but stored in relays, waiting for watchers. One message showed a teacher and her students planting trees. Another, a group of elderly friends playing music on an old street corner. A scientist explaining time. A poet reading about stars. A child whispering her dreams for tomorrow. The messages weren't loud. They were honest. In orbit above Earth, satellites built with Kale's help began to glow with new power. Not weapons, not threats, but technology meant to reach, to share, to explore. At the edge of the solar system, one of the Empire's scout vessels paused longer than usual. Its signals slowed, as if someone aboard was listening too carefully to leave just yet. Back on Earth, not everyone agreed with the quiet path. Some wanted action. Some believed the Empire would never understand and that waiting was dangerous. But Lena reminded them, The Empire has always seen power as control. Let them see a world that grows stronger without fear. Kyle shared more knowledge, not just about ships and stars, but about cultures across the stars. She told stories of other planets, other species, some who had disappeared simply because they were too different. That's what the Empire feared most, difference. But something strange began to happen. From the depths of space, new signals came. Not from the Empire, but from others. Forgotten species who had gone silent now reached out. A whisper from a desert world. A glowing signal from the ice belts. A melody from a cloud-covered planet, all with the same feeling. We heard you. Earth wasn't alone anymore. Not just watched, not just judged, but noticed. In one of the secret labs where Earth's engineers worked beside Kale's team, small device lit up. Vor held it gently, surprised. It's a handshake signal, he said. Very old, very rare. Kale took the device, scanning the signal. It's from a race we thought long gone. They were quiet for centuries. But now, they've answered. Lena stepped closer. Why now? Kale looked toward the stars. Because you sang when you could have hidden, and they listened. That night Earth's sky seemed brighter, not from ships, not from fire, but from possibilities. Something had begun, not a war, not a race, but a quiet connection that could change everything. And in the farthest corners of the Empire, some who received the signals sat in silence. They watched, listened, and wondered. Maybe this little world was more than just different. Maybe it was the start of something they could never control, but maybe something they could learn from. The sky was darker than usual, but the air was electric with hope. For the first time in many years, the people of Earth felt a change, not just outside their world, but inside their hearts. They had chosen a path no one expected, a path of courage, of friendship, and of patience. Kale stood at the edge of the observation deck, looking out at the stars that had once only meant danger. Now, they seemed like distant friends, full of possibilities. Do you think they will come? Lena asked quietly, joining her. Kale smiled. Some already have. Messages continued to arrive from distant worlds, each one a quiet voice in a galaxy that had once been silent to Earth. Old friends, new allies, even watchers from the Empire itself who were curious, not with weapons, but with questions. On Earth, the people began to build not just ships or defenses, but bridges. Teams of diplomats and scholars worked with Kale and Lena, sharing Earth stories and learning from others. It was slow work, but real. The Empire's fleet remained distant, but it was no longer a threat hanging over their heads. Instead, their presence was a reminder of how much had changed. The Empire watched, but they no longer ruled the conversation. Deep, in the heart of Earth's greatest cities, people danced, sang, and told stories of what had happened. They spoke of Kale, a visitor from another world who had chosen Earth over the Empire. Of Lena, who led without fear and never forgot what made humans strong: hope. One evening, as the sun set, Lena received a message unlike any before. It was from a council beyond the Empire, a gathering of many species who had heard Earth's song and now wished to meet, not as enemies or rulers, but as equals. The galaxy is opening its doors, Lena said, eyes bright, and we are ready. Kyle nodded. Because you never gave up, because you showed them who we really are. On the day of the meeting, ships from many worlds gathered near Earth's orbit. They were not warships. They carried diplomats, artists, teachers, and travelers. Their crews looked at Earth with curiosity and respect. Lena stood before them, calm and proud. We come not to fight, but to share, to learn, to build a future where no world fears another. The representatives listened, some with doubt, others with hope. Kale stepped forward, speaking in a voice clear and strong. The strength of a world is not measured by weapons or power, but by the courage to be different, to choose kindness over fear, to sing when others silence. The moment was quiet but powerful, and when the galaxy's leaders finally spoke, it was with a new respect. We have watched, we have listened, and we have learned. Back on Earth, celebrations lit the night sky. People from every corner of the world felt the warmth of change. A world once told to hide had become a beacon. Kale looked to Lena and said, "You did this. Humanity did this. Not because you followed orders, but because you chose hope. The galaxy would never be the same, and Earth was ready to show why."